All right, Friend of Blessings, we are back with another video. Before I begin, a couple quick announcements, because I don't have that long of a ride to my next destination. A couple quick announcements. If you want to sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, we are a week away. You got a few more days, or the rest of this week to do that. Conference will take place from the 20th to the 22nd. The actual conference itself here in Hollywood, Florida at Cultural Expressions. And if you want to sign up to attend in person, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Also, if you want to attend virtually, you can. That gives you access to the classes, workshops, and presentations on Friday, Saturday, and the question and answer class on Sunday. Shoot me an email. I'll send you information on how to sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference, which is, again, as of today, 1 week away. Also, if you're interested in a spiritual reading or spiritual consultation, I offer various different readings: telepathic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, deity readings. Shoot me an email. I will send you information on how to book a spiritual reading or a spiritual consultation. If you're interested in signing up for classes, the classes that I do, the classes that I offer, the way to do that is to go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page located at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. And tier 3 is the tier you want to join. That gives you access to all of the classes in the archive, not just from the time you join, the day moving forward. It gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, in addition to the group ritual that we do at the end of the month. Also, keep in mind all this new content is being uploaded to the Primordial Chaos podcast, which is available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, all one word, Primordial Chaos 2 words on Facebook. The direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links and all of that information is in the description box of this video that you are watching right now. Okay? All right, so what I wanted to kind of run through, we were talking about last video, is there eternal life after death? Does the afterlife exist? This, that, and the other. I want to talk about something, again, that has become a hot topic over the years in spirituality and consciousness. Pseudoism, or labeling something pseudo, confirming truth. So how do you confirm, or how do you establish something is pseudo or pseudoism and truth? Okay? Well, first let's establish, is there such thing as a pure, undiluted, absolute 100% truth? Majority of people are going to say yes, right? And that's a personal perspective and opinion. I'm going to say no. And the reason why I say no is because of that word perception, perspective. Okay? Everybody is going to perceive things differently. So if I make a declaration or a statement that this is truth, such and such, that is the undiluted pure truth. Right? I can make that verbal statement. Does that make it 100% right? Then the next person will come and go, well, let's fact check this. Right? Then we got our people who are religious, and they're slave to they approach the process religiously, because everything's got to be fact checked by some source or some reference, and they don't realize when you're checking a fact or a source or reference from an author, which has root in the word authoritative, you're thinking in your mind, just because somebody's an author doesn't make them the authoritative person on a topic, right? Well, what source is that? Where can I get it? And then they go quote authors and this person and that person. It could be a scientist, a doctor. And again, I'm not saying there's not some connection or aspect to facts, but that still doesn't make it the pure, undiluted truth. Because as I said, there's things that get outside of the physical. When you're dealing with things of a spiritual nature, not all of it can be explained by things, person, place, or things, or three-dimensional. Yes, we can have theories, we can have hypotheses, we can collect data, we can compare, we can experiment. I get all that. But at the end of the day, the individual has to come to the self-realization of that truth. Not just coming to that truth because somebody else collected an X amount of data, and that's the sole criteria for establishing it as a truth. So it doesn't work like that. Perception and perspective are going to be huge in how an individual accepts something as truth or false. I'll just keep it simple. All right, it's not complex. It's not complicated. Okay? It's not complex or complicated at all. But what bothers the shit out of me sometimes, we got all these heavy wannabe conscious motherfuckers on all these different platforms. I'm just speaking in general. I'm not going to sit here single, but there's a lot of them. These old sanctified, I know everything motherfuckers that they're quick to dismiss something as pseudo because they don't understand it. Right? And they're quoting, and then they quote individuals, scientists, researchers, and scholars and put them up on a pedestal as if they're infallible. Remember, them scholars and researchers, through their experimentation, came to conclusions based on the data and the information. They came to conclusions. But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not talking about basic science, okay? It's just simple science. If you're dealing, I don't know if it's earth science, metaphysics, all right, there's certain things that are just common sense. I'm talking about things of what we call, for lack of a better word, of a spiritual nature. When people talk about out-of-body experiences, or people talk about raising the kundalini or the serpent energy and chakras, or people talk about the afterlife, the astral realms. There's a lot of people who don't believe, quote unquote, personally believe in that, and that's fine. There's a lot of people who will immediately admit that, oh, that's pseudo, that's not real. Oh, you're talking all that pseudo stuff. Why? It's not real because you have no experience with it. I understand it's subjective in nature. That's why I am not the type of person, teacher, who enforces. I'm not enforcing anybody to accept that. It's just very egotistical and hypocritical when somebody wants to get up there and say something is pseudo or not real, as if that's the final tell-all be-all on it, because they just don't know nothing about it or don't have no experience. That's being very hypocritical, arrogant, and stupid, in my opinion. Okay? You will never find me on any video say, accept astral travel. It's real. And if you don't accept it, such and such, I don't do that. Because as I said before, I don't tell people what they should and should not do. I don't tell people what they should accept as truth, reality, and what's fake. But don't sit here and tell me the astral realms are not real when I have personal experience with it. Don't sit here and tell me the afterlife isn't real. Don't tell me raising the kundalini energy isn't real. It's very real to me. It's just not real to you. And that's okay. That's why I say you should, what do I always say over the years? You should never accept anything as a truth or reality until you've experienced it for yourself. See, that sets the parameters of being judgmental, labeling something pseudo, something truth, this, that, or the other. Because just as quick as you could say, well, astral travel or astral projection, that's not real. Okay, just as quick as an individual can make that statement, myself and many others can turn and say, yes, it is, because I have experienced. So now what's the conclusion? You have some who have experienced and saying it's very real. Some who have no experience, just can't accept the reality of it because of their source or quote unquote so-called fact-checking by other humans and mortals that they need to validate it for them, they're going to say it's not real. So what's the conclusion? What's the answer? My whole point being is truth does not become truth until one confirms it for themselves. So let's just say a person now who never experienced astral traveling, out-of-body experiences, any of those things of a spiritual nature. Let's say as of today, well, I've never experienced it. I don't believe in that. It's not real. Let's just say, let's fast forward 6 months to a year ahead. Let's say something changes in that individual's life. They start to navigate in another direction. And then let's just say later down the road, they do have an experience with that. Now what? So if we back up to where they were 6 months prior, a year ago, was it real then? Or was it fake? Or is it just real now? Of course it was real then. It's just they didn't experience it. That's all. That's it. That's the answer, folks. It's not that fucking complicated. So when we are discussing and debating things of a spiritual nature, take into context, it's very subjective on an individual level. Everything a person experiences spiritually, I'm not talking about if you're doing something in a group setting outside of some, group ritual ceremony, this, that, or the other. But everything else outside of that is very subjective in nature. Because that's the power of magic and spirituality, the ability to tap into your subjective consciousness. Things outside of person, place, or thing. Tapping into your vivid imagination, where your very power lies, that they've been trying to steal from you for years by indoctrinating and programming you with their ideology, with their information of how they establish their criteria of what's real, what's fake, this, that, and the other. Well, there's people that play right into that same module. They may not do it the same way, but they're using the same outline, module, or blueprint. Look, and that was my focus back then. Over the years, I'm talking about before YouTube and all this internet bullshit, I used to get into many live debates in a classroom set. There was no YouTube, there was no camera, none of that shit. You went at it raw dog right there on the spot. Okay? I've got into many discussions and debates over the years with people in regards to stuff like this. At that time, the shit it's not relevant at this point. But now, to get into an argument in a debate with somebody, and they'll sit there and they'll use, again, all these sources. They'll put their, well, in the book by such and such, or Dr. such and such. So my question would always be, so are they 100% infallible? So are they not capable of making mistakes? Because after you get outside of the basic math and science, everything is up for debate. Okay, like the afterlife. I'm just using a word simple to describe. Like realms of existence outside of this physical material plane. There's going to be different lines in the sand drawn on that. I don't believe that stuff. That's pseudo. Yeah, I believe I've had experience this, that, and the other. I believe there's an after. I've traveled, blah, blah, blah. Okay? See, that's where all of the fact-checking, source-checking, your definition of pseudoism all goes out the window. Because how are you going to tell an individual that has had the experience, did the work, got the results from those experiences, to that person is very real. But as long as that person is not trying to enforce their subjective awareness or consciousness on somebody else, that's when it becomes a problem on this side. This is why I don't entertain when people say, yeah, I had a dream and such, and they want you to co-sign on their subjective experience. I won't do it. I'm not saying you didn't have it. You did or you did not. What I am saying is I can't confirm that. It's very interesting, but I'm not going to sit here and co-sign and go, wow, okay. Because if I just blindly accept that without confirming it for myself, then I'm just as guilty as everybody else doing the same thing. And this is why I always, you hear me joke around and cracking on all these people that get on the internet that make me laugh. Oh, I got to download from the ancestors. Fuck, you did. Not from my ancestors, you didn't. Because that is a very vague statement. What ancestors? Can you identify them specifically? Give me names. And do these particular ancestors, are they connected to everybody as a whole? But some motherfuckers ain't got a problem with that. But you guys ain't got a problem with that shit. You'll co-sign on that shit. And that's not pseudo. And that's not very questionable in nature. That's why I don't get on the internet to, hey man, I got to download the answers. I got a message for everybody. The fuck you do. Okay? Maybe you got a personal message. Maybe you did have an experience. Maybe there was something in there for you. But when I start to project that on everybody else, that's when I have a problem on it on this side. So it works both ways. Okay? And that's why I can film hours upon hours of talking about my personal experiences, but that's pointless. That's not what my goal is. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you stories to get you, engulfed, or to get your attention, or to get you to accept and believe what I have experienced on my spiritual journey. Fuck no. That's personal, right? That's my own personal journey, just like you all are on your own personal journey. See, that's the problem. Everybody wants to be part of this group shit, the Mickey Mouse Club. They want to be down with what everybody is claiming is right. We have too many motherfuckers that are afraid to be their own individual, unique personality, right? And using that uniqueness to navigate their spiritual journey, but coming together collectively, but still maintaining your unique individuality. See, what happens is when somebody strips you of that, and forces you to be a conformist and get in line with the program, get in line or get in where you fit in, get down with what everybody else is doing and all that shit, that's when it becomes a problem. And some people are just afraid in the sense of speaking out in opposition to what everybody else is in agreement with. To fuck with all that, I don't care. And again, it's pointless when you're trying to debate a thing of spiritual nature. You can come all day with books, references, authors, this, that, and the other. It's still going to take you into the spectrum. It all falls in line where the individual is going to be the one that at the end of the day comes to that individual confirming and coming to the self-realization of that reality, of that truth. You can't force nobody. I don't care how many books and references you come with. I don't give a fuck. How many times have I said over the years, you navigate through the books. You use the books as a tool. You master the books and utilize the knowledge as a guideline, a roadmap. You're in control. You're the navigator. Don't let the books navigate and control you. I told you, we got a lot of book readers out here. A lot of wannabe heavies. They regurgitate shit. And their ego gets, full and deceptive. They think, oh, I'm going to impress somebody with I just read this book. And they come across something that sounds so deep and heavy to them. And then they want to just spit it. And they think like, oh, man, this is going to impress everybody. Listen, man. I keep telling you guys, that shit sound like Charlie Brown to me, man. I've come across my last, 25, 30 years doing this, 20, whatever. I've come across every wannabe heavy you can think of. I've heard nothing surprises me anymore. I've come across every deep person that's deeper than the deep seas. They so deep. I've come across motherfuckers that are too deep for themselves. They so deep. Okay? All of that is pointless if you can't, put that into action, the information. Okay? But having said that, as I am rapidly approaching my final destination, so I didn't have a long drive on this one, my whole point, again, be careful when you're quick to dismiss something as pseudo. There's a responsibility there. It's easier to just say, well, I can't agree with you on that because I can't confirm the reality or truth of that. No problem with that. And on the flip side, you have to say, well, this is my experience. I'm not telling you have to accept it, because you can't. It's my personal experience. But in my personal experience, I can confirm that as true. And we have to leave that there. And where it evolves from there is up to the individual. But to sit here and just make bold statements that this is true, this is false, as if one individual or a group of individuals is the sole authority on that, that shit is just fucking bizarre to me. Okay? Now, really, at the end of the day, let me sum it up with this. You shouldn't give a fuck about any of that stuff or what anybody thinks or this, that, and the other, because the only person you need to validate shit to is yourself. Okay? That's the only person you need to validate shit to. If what you're doing is working for you, you're confirming this through your experiences and your results, there you go. That's the source. That's the thing you need to check. That's what you gauge it by. And if that is in alignment, the fuck with all that other shit. Who cares, people? Stop wasting your energy debating with fools. You're not going to, first and foremost, you're going to learn you can't convince anybody of anything. Don't fool yourself. People get into these discussions and debates, and they're ego fests. That's all they are. It's a stroke my ego fest. Let me see how I can stroke my ego and prove to everybody that I'm so intelligent and smart and I know everything. Right? And there's nothing like two individuals engaged in a conversation like that with that same mindset. That is just a back and forth ego fuckfest. With one thinking they're gonna one up the other one. Let me one up this one. Let me. At the end of the day, what kind of growth are we getting from that shit? Okay? So that's my point. That's kind of where I'm at with that. All right, having said that, let me wrap this video up so I can finish my second portion of my Friday exercise routine. If you need to reach out to me, khnum19@gmail.com. That's the email to hit me up to sign up for the 6th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. If you need information on how to book a spiritual reading or a consultation, that's how you get at me. That's how you contact me. The direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, the social media pages, my contact email, the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links and information is in the description box of this video. That's going to wrap it up for today for me. The B, the A, the N, the I, the T, let me stop. For your brother Baniti. I am out of here, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Infernal blessings.